Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200.
Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to you, honey.
Happy New Year, hon.
How are you?
How was your New Year's? Did you ring in the new year? Watch the ball drop?
I did. My wife didn't.
Well, I let the guys take care of that.
We did.
It was kind of a guy thing.
So we have New Year's was different this year.
It was very different.
Now, we didn't get bombarded with COVID, but you had the flu.
Yeah, I did.
And you were dragging.
But
you're on the mend now.
I'm on the mend. But here's the cool thing is that we had all of our kiddos under one roof again.
We did, man. That's why I brought in the new year. That was pretty cool. It was me and my boys, and we sat up and told a lot of lies around the kitchen table for And we had one of their friends, Seb, joined us for some conversation. Yeah, and it was just kind of like old times. So it was a good time, and here we are, 2022.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it was when we did our last week's show, our older sons had not been able to come in yet, and so in the middle of that, then I got the flu, and so nothing like welcoming the family back into the house with germs, sensation all over the place.
We had to quarantine the week before or the week in between. So that was kind of rough.
Nothing like trying to stay in my room and like mask up and trying to stay away from and not hugging those grandkiddos. That was like the hardest.
And you all have to know that between the two of us, Linda is our energized bunny, and she's always on the go. And when you are down, you'll see me occasionally find a couch to take a nap. You won't see Linda do that too often, and she was down. So I always take that pretty seriously. Like, all right, Mama's out.
So the refrigerator needs like an overhaul because it's like we just kept shoving and shoving. We'd have food and create dinners and then so it's looking a little rough. But.
But hey, 2022 is here, and we are moving forward. We got some cool stuff. Oh no, she brought out the mug. I thought I was past the mug.
So last week I totally was so bummed because we set to record and then I forgot that I had gotten this new mug, and I know it says "Have a Holly Jolly Christmas," but
what's it say on the backside? Is this
Holly Jolly Christmas?
Didn't one of them have something to do with being naughty or something?
No, that was a different one. But this was a gift, and I was just so grateful for somebody just to be thinking of me, and so I wanted to sport my new mug and let her know.
So if any of you would like to think about me, I could sure use a mug.
No, hey, one of those things where. Ask and you shall receive.
There you go. Good. Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about a couple things we got coming up in 2022. And man, we're going to start with a boom right off the bat. So we are fortunate, really feeling fortunate here to have somebody that we've known about for quite a while. And we've known even more about her father for quite a while.
Yeah.
So all of you are familiar with Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace and Ramsey Solutions. His daughter, Rachel, also has her own Rachel Cruz as her married name. She has her own bit of work. She has a show and does a lot of writing. And specifically, she does run in the vein of finance.
Yeah.
But she brings a different twist because she's also early 30s mom and raising kids and trying to do all that. So she is going to be a guest on our show actually next week. So you've got to tune in to Rachel Cruz.
I'm so excited. This is just so awesome. I can't wait. I mean, this is a New York Times bestseller, author, speaker, and yes, daughter of Dave Ramsey, which we're going to ask her about.
Yeah,
but,
what's that like?
Just imagine that. I'm just so excited. So the fact that she's going to be on the Rock Solid Radio program next week, we're just really thrilled. So you'll have to stay tuned next week.
Yeah, so that should be
the
some
Lord
fun.
willing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're all healthy.
So that's a good way to start, 2022. So we're excited about that.
We also have on January 15th our Purpose Workshop, and this is, again, it's going to be held down at Harrison High School Activity Center, but it's really the town, and I think it's pretty much a town-supported thing, isn't it, hon?
Yep.
That they're coming together. They really want to do something for parents and parenting and kids, and so they're doing an entire day there or a program on January 15th. We're going to be just actually working in the background of that, but they're going to be having some speakers and different lessons on parenting. So be a great thing for you to attend.
It is a free event. It's a half a day thing, hon, at Harrison High School. You can register. It's actually purposeworkshops.org. You can go, and it's for every child ages 5 and up. We're going to be working with ages 5 through 5th grade. And then there's something for teenagers. There's something for parents. And so we're really excited about that. So check out purposeworkshops.org. That's going to be on January 15th.
All right. Also, Hunt, it's not on our list, but one thing that we are excited about is this week, actually, and I'm only going to say this not because it's open to the public, but we get an opportunity to speak to area teachers about what Linda and I see from a outside view. We see parents and families and kids coming in, and usually they're stressed. They're at a breaking point with the situation, okay? And a lot of that situation the teachers see on a regular basis throughout their classroom. And so this week we get the treat really to work with some area teachers and help them just wrap their head around, okay, what do I do when I have kids doing this and that? So we are always enjoy working in schools. And so if you are a teacher out there listening or an administrator and you're looking for ways to get some outside sort of coaching into your schools and to help the parents in your area, please give us a call, because that's stuff that we really love doing.
Yeah, and being educators ourselves, we've been where you are, and I know you used to drive you crazy when they would bring in these experts that never saw a day in the classroom. Never worked with a student. They maybe went to graduate school for how to run a school, but they never were in a school and working in a school. And so we've definitely been there as teachers and coaches and counselors. So yeah.
So also we have a big parenting day that we are teaming up with Urban Crest Church, and this is going to be on February 12th. That's a Saturday. It's a full day workshop at Urban Crest Church in Lebanon, Ohio. And that is going to be kind of one of our package, kind of like this is our full-blown program for our day of parenting. And we're going to cover all kinds of topics. And then we always allow time for some Q&A to allow people in that community or even individual families to ask questions pertaining to their family issues. So, and is the price on that established? Is it I think it's $40?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But you have to go to Urban Crest Church, their website, and they've got a little brochure on that.
Yeah.
So we're
hoping to put all these links on our Facebook page. So you can always go to Rock Solid Families, to our Facebook page or rocksolidfamilies.org for more information. You can always contact us. We can send you those links. And then we're going to be rounding out February with another workshop. And this one is going to be on the parenting, on the marriage realm. Secure the Knot marriage workshop is going to be at Bright Christian Church on February 19th. So I know that's a lot of information. So, we can get you more information if you are wanting specifics. So we're excited.
Let's talk a little bit about as we walk out of 2021, hon, and walk into 2022.
Walk out. I'm running.
You're right. Well, you got to watch what you're running into. You might be running out of one fire and into the next. But part of what we want to talk just a little bit about initially here is what we saw in our office as we closed out the year. You've heard us talk before about trends that we see and things like that. And our deal here is to never scare people about trends or anything that we see. It's to inform you. Like, hey, don't let this thing get you in a situation where you don't know how to deal with it or what to do. Try to be ahead of it. And so maybe some of the stuff that we share, you go, oh yeah, that's happening in my own home. So we want to talk just a little bit about some of these trends that we saw.
So I mean, just in 2021, hon, I'm doing kind of the metrics right now is, we saw 280 different families one-on-one in our office in St. Leon, Indiana. And so that was over 1,100 coaching sessions just between the two of us over this past year. And so we had a lot of one-on-one FaceTime with people, not to mention the thousands that we worked with through our podcast and our blogs and our live events, And so we got to see a lot of things happening that maybe you're seeing out in your community as well. And, those trends, I think are kind of indicative to our country today. We saw a lot of hurting people. And, for me personally, as a woman, I saw a lot of working, exhausted moms. And, I do think that part of that was COVID, that COVID, we're in year 2 now of just really, our schedules kind of being uprooted and our routines being kind of tossed around and people having to work from home. And now both parents are working from home and the kids were, maybe quarantined or whatever. And so we saw a lot of overwhelmed, stressed out moms. And a lot of them came in doing some comparison traps of just like, this is what everybody's doing. This is what I should be able to do. And they don't feel like they're measuring up to that.
Right.
It's crazy. And so the social media out there, when they're kind of looking at what everybody else is posting, or what, Pinterest says they should be doing, just really unrealistic expectations they're putting on themselves, almost like they think they're super women and they're not. They're humans.
And you saw a lot of teenage girls, that you still continue to see a lot of teenage girls. And just if you could speak to the thing that kind of happens, the contagiousness, so to speak, of different social phenomena. Like you saw a lot of girls that had anxiety issues or depression issues or even gender identity issues or whatever. But then all of a sudden we would see it kind of go in a rash. Like you see a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And what do you see, like, and I say girls just because we get more girls that come in for that kind of thing. What is your takeaway that if you could give something to parents, like when all of a sudden their daughter comes home from high school and says, I'm kind of questioning this, or I'm thinking about this.
Yeah. Well, that's my second trend is really our girls, younger and younger girls. And they are anxious, they are depressed, they are overwhelmed. And part of that is that their mamas are feeling overwhelmed as well. So they're kind of picking up on that, a little bit of that trend from mom. And so they're kind of feeling like that's what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be anxious and depressed.
Right.
And so part of that is that comparison trap again of what's out there. But it's also where they're finding their worth and their value, what they're seeking to really fulfill them, to really identify them and their purpose. And we're going to be talking about that in a little bit, but that's really been, and I believe it's part of that. What are they seeing in the home? What are they seeing from their parents? What's the messages they're hearing from their environment at home? And maybe it's school too, and their friends. But the trend is definitely this, everybody's just unhappy.
Right.
And that doesn't
so
have
I
to
should somehow be unhappy too.
Yes. So I should go in my room and sit in my depression room, they're calling it, and sit on my phone, and I just want to be like everybody else. And that doesn't have to be what we do.
Right, especially when it starts to cause damage and destruction, right? Like when you have people starting to drop out of things or behaving with behaviors that are hurtful. So these are things, some of the things that you saw in particular.
Yeah. And, let's go back to the women here, because some of these ladies, and, I could have been one included, if there's some unresolved trauma, if there's some unhealed damage or hurt that was done, whether it be a first marriage, whether it be a boyfriend, whether it be childhood from a parent, if that's not healed right, we carry that in, and we can only put a Band-Aid on it for so long. And we've talked about this before it starts to kind of well up in us, whether it be anger, whether it be resentment, whether it be fear. And so ladies, please get work and help for yourself, because you're no good to your children or to your job or to your spouse if you are not healthy on your own. And so that's something that I really encourage all of our ladies to do.
That's a great point. Sometimes when we're hurt, we don't realize that we don't allow things to heal well. I always use the analogy of, if you break your leg, if you don't stabilize it in a proper fixed position, it's going to heal. Right? But it's going to heal broken. And that's the same thing with our mind. And we see that all the time with PTSD type things. We see it with just whether a parent intends to wound their child or not. Actually, most of us don't intend to wound our kids, but we might do it by how we approach parenting or them in particular. And it causes a wound, and so young kids just kind of find a way to survive, but yet they become somewhat jaded or hurt from that, and then they carry that into future relationships and work and everything else, and then they wonder why they're angry or depressed or anxious when they get older. With that being said, it's no time to go back and get into the blame game, because again,
it doesn't do us any good.
It doesn't do us any good, right? It's like, okay, I need to just kind of filter through this thing, and maybe I need to open up the wound a bit and let it heal the proper way.
Yeah. So, hun, what about you in 2021, looking back and what you walked in our door? What trends did you see that you worked with?
Well, something that I was really encouraged by is in our line of work, women are more readily walking into our office and asking for help. And so one of the things, so I would be more likely to get fewer men walking in than you would get women walking in. But that started to change. And I think part of that changed, one, because people became more aware of what we were doing. But men are tired of letting the world define what they're doing and how they should do, mostly because how the world defines how they should be functioning usually doesn't start to produce much fruit over time.
Yeah.
So I had more men seek me out. And that was encouraging, and I think that number is only going to grow. And not to pat us on the back, but we just try to be practical. Like, how's that working for you, right? And guys like to handle things in that way. So that was a positive trend. Another trend, though, that I see are I had more younger guys coming in, and this was a little disturbing because I had younger guys. When I say younger guys, I mean teenage type guys coming in, and you will get teenage girls that under maybe a slight suggestion from their parents, or they might even suggest it to their parents, that they go get help.
We need help, yeah.
It's seldom do you get a teenage boy.
Oh, please, Mommy.
That says, can I go see the counselor? So, but I saw more guys coming in, young men coming in, and there's a lot of confusion there. And what I see with a lot of these young guys is they just go into a shutdown mode. And I think one of the things that I would encourage, I always say to a parent when if they call for an appointment for their kid, I'm like, okay, is this your idea? Is this their idea?
Yeah.
Okay. And if they don't want anything to do with coming in, then I would just recommend that you talk with me, and if they won't come in at all, you as parents come in.
Yeah.
Because we can still work with different
Mm-hmm.
parenting approaches to help them. And then sometimes I've just had some success with just inviting that young man in and just have conversation. We have a gym in our facility and a lot of different things. And sometimes it's just that. So I saw more of that happening in the door opening. And then several of those guys who wanted nothing to do with getting help then start to back away from the resistance and start to come in. So that's a good thing. And we just hope that more and more guys are getting help rather than working in a broken way.
I'd say one of the other trends that we saw, and you and I both had our share, was older parents coming in and asking for help with their unlaunched adult child, whether they were launched and came back, rebound, ricocheted back into the home, and they're not leaving. And so we've had a lot of parents who are like, help, we don't know what to do. You know, we love them, but like they're in our basement and they won't leave and they won't get a job and they won't move out. And so that was a trend that we've seen more and more of, whether it be somebody in their 20s or 30s or even 40s, you know, where they're just like, that this is where they're going to be.
Yeah, somewhat connected to that, Hunt, and I don't see this one slowing down. This is a trend of grandparents raising their grandkids or even great-grandkids. And guys, as much as we love and appreciate that our grandparents are willing to do that, that is not a win situation there. I mean, we need to help our grandparents to never be in that position. And the way that we do that is we parent our own kids. Yeah. And that is just such a tough situation. I never feel great about it. I'm always very appreciative that those folks have stepped up because, you know, what's the alternative? But it's just so difficult. Yeah. And so that's a trend that I hope this year we start to see something flexing and going a different direction on that
and
one.
I'm really excited with Rachel Cruz coming on because, you know, Dave Ramsey, you and I were huge proponents of Dave Ramsey when our older boys were younger. And so about, you know, how did they get a car? Do we just hand them a car? Do we have them work for the car? Do we match their, you know, what they save? You know, so those are all principles that when we start those young and we teach that independence and that self-sufficiency. And so we're going to be talking about that with Rachel, just of how do we do that as young parents? And so that older, you know, they're on their own and they're, you know, flying with their own wings. So
yeah. So part of the trend that rock solid families is actively out trying to break and then redirect is the idea that we have become very complacent and we are allowing the world to define what marriages look like, what families look like. And
what independence looks like, what healthy looks
like.
Right,
and what discipline looks like. And these are things, guys, the proof is so solid in the pudding here that this is not working well. And there is a neat trend in people waking up to that, like, oh, the problem is there's been a lot of damage in the process. So in 2022, you're going to continue to hear us say, hey, you know, God created this model for a reason. Yeah. And his rules are not just a set of rules to frustrate you. His rules or his law, so to speak, are there because when we don't follow God's nature, things get really messy.
Yeah, for sure. So we're excited about 2022. We cannot wait. We're thankful that you have joined us in this very first show of 2022. And as we look forward to 2022, there's some really cool things that we've got coming up, Hun. Share a little bit about our online marriage coaching program that we're going to be launching soon.
So if you feel like your marriage is so-so, we're functioning, we're getting by, but you know it could use a little tune-up, or if your marriage is just like limping and you're even wondering if it's going to get through. This is what this program's for, okay? Now, that doesn't mean if your marriage is great that you couldn't benefit, for sure, okay? You can definitely benefit, okay? But this is going to be an opportunity where Lynn and I have put together our both different approaches. So one of the things that's really going to be cool about this, mostly because we argue when we try to, no, we have different approaches, right? And so I approach more from a male perspective. Lynn approaches from a female perspective. And sometimes we found that when we were trying to coach couples together, like she and I with husband and wife across the table, she'd say something and I'd be like, well, I'd never say that like that. And then vice versa. And so what we have done is we've realized that men's brains and women's brains have to hear things and experience things a little bit differently. So our whole rock solid marriage program is going to be based off of biblical principle for marriage. And we will both present for a short time at the start of each of these lessons. But then we're going to do a breakaway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we are going to break away where typically I will take the men and Linda will take the women. And we will do this through by way of Zoom groups. Okay. Like you're going to be on Zoom TV and I'll take the men and Linda will take the women. And we will honor each other in the subject, whatever the topic is. But I will just approach it more from a masculine perspective and Linda from her feminine perspective, but always honoring the other. Okay. Like never talking in an adverse way about the other gender. Right. Because God created women to be feminine or women for a reason and men and masculinity for a reason. And we want those to be like a right and left shoe, right? To work together.
Yeah. So Rock Solid Marriages is going to be our first online coaching program that we're going to be launching here soon. And so if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out to us at rocksolidfamilies.org. Just hit the contact button and kind of reach out to us and we're going to connect. We're actually going to be piloting this program with existing or previous clients. But if that's something that you're interested in now, then maybe you can be part of our pilot. Yeah. And so this is going to be a weekly coaching call. There's breakout sessions, as you said, there's homework that they're going to be doing. There's an assessment and inventories that couples will do on their own that they'll get results with. So it's going to be very intensive, but it's definitely going to be foundational for building a rock solid marriage, biblical foundation that is going to be unshakable regardless of what the storm is.
Yeah. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, or you know somebody that you think could benefit, jump in on our pilot program. One, because it is going to be even a lot more hands-on because we're all wanting to even perfect this better. Linda and I want to do even better at making this right, but also the price is going to be half the price of what we're going to see as we later in the year roll it out in kind of its final version. So you can go to rocksolidfamilies.org and you can just email us from our contact page and just say, hey, I'm interested. Can you share more? And we will personally reach out and contact you, whether it's through phone or email or whatever, to just really bring you up to speed on that.
Yeah. And so in 2022, we want to kind of leave you with just some thoughts of like, how do we move forward? How do we create substance in our lives in 2022 so we just don't kind of get blown around by whatever the world tells us to be. And part of that is to ask that question about who you are. Where does your identity come from? Okay. Who would you say you are? And who's telling you that? Is the world telling you that? Is your family and friends telling you that? Or are you finding your identity in Christ? Because that's going to really determine whether or not you become that whole person, that healthy person that finds their identity in the Creator.
Yeah. So, hon, we've been talking a lot about purpose, and Linda and I get into these conversations about direction that we've seen and we want to go. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Here's the idea. In 2022, as we come around, we talk to our kids all the time who are teenagers. We talk to clients that come in, and part of Linda's challenge this past week of not feeling well is she felt like she had no purpose. She had no purpose but to heal, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any energy.
She had no energy, and then that leads to this frustration and depression. And so, guys, part of our deal is to recognize, as Linda, you were alluding to, the idea that our job is to find our purpose and to not even question whether we have a purpose. God created everything with purpose and on purpose. It is our free will to reject it or to accept it, but we have to be in the journey of trying to figure that out. And so when we are stuck, when we are finding ourselves sort of twiddling our thumbs over meaningless things, all right, it is because we have not located our purpose yet, all right? And so we want to spend more time this year on helping individuals and marriages and families. What is our purpose? Yeah. And it is unique. Each of our purposes are different because of the skill sets and talents and gifts that we've been given.
Yeah, but while you say they're unique, hon, they're also very unified in purpose, and that is that we're all called to glorify God.
Yeah.
And so, not only who you are, where do you find your identity? Okay. Yes, we're all very unique, just like our fingerprints are so unique, but we're all created in his image. And so there's a unity there. There's a bond, a common bond that we've got. And so not only in our identity, but also in our purpose.
Right.
And so
we're
two
all
questions,
serving the same body.
Yeah. The two questions that I really want you to ask yourself and then ask your kids: who are you and why are you here? And if you can't answer those questions, you better be careful, because someone else is going to answer those for you. Someone else is going to decide and write your story. And I don't want that to be someone else. I want that to be you with relationship with the God, the Creator, who, like you said in Jeremiah 29:11, already has a plan for us. It's that we start to live that out in a way that glorifies him. And so we're really excited about what that looks like for 2022.
Hey, parents, listen to this for a second, okay? And this is just kind of a general call out. We talk with our kids, our teenagers, all the time, and we were both educators in the school setting. And we were talking about trends and different things with kids in schools. And when I was teaching, the big trend, one of the big trends, there were multiple, but one of the big trends that came up was the whole grunge look, right? And these were the kids.
You're dating yourself there.
Well, I know. But it's just taking different forms today. Our daughter was just describing this morning. I was like, oh, well, that's grunge.
Yeah.
And the idea that back in that day, it was everybody dressing in black and, darkness around their eyes and stuff, and even whitening their face just to make it look kind of like Walking Death. And what's interesting is I had a reunion, basically kind of a school reunion thing a couple weeks ago, and some of those kids that were into the grunge look were there, and now they're like 45 years old. Okay,
45.
Yeah, 45 years old.
Was this your class reunion?
No, not mine.
Oh, okay.
No, it was for
students. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Students.
I was like,
and I saw some of them, and it was like, wow, isn't that interesting? Back in that moment, that was the most important thing. They actually associated with that. That's who they ate with at the cafeteria table. And as parents, we get kind of freaked out about that. Here's the bottom line takeaway. All of our kids, all of us as adults, are looking for our purpose. And if we don't find one, then we will gravitate towards something that is attractive, as you were talking about before. The world will define it. And so you're seeing things now. Our kids were talking about a group of kids that dress like animals and behave like animals. And again, that seems really freaky. As a parent, you need to know your kid is screaming out for purpose.
Yeah.
That's
An
what
identity.
that is about. They're looking for an identity, right? They're looking for what their purpose is. And if you can become aware of that's what the actual hunt is right there, you can help them walk through that crazy time. And again, trying to get through it without, significant damage and scarring is what we're trying to be aware of. So this is about purpose, finding your purpose in Christ.
Yeah, and that's hard because there's so much of the Lord and his word being sucked out of our homes and sucked out of our schools and sucked out of our relationships that it's kind of like what's left.
Yeah.
And so it feels very empty because it is without him. And
Yeah.
so let's put God back into this. Let's put his word back into where we find our identity and where we find our purpose. And that's what's really going to bring 2020 to be fruitful and to be full of joy and peace.
Yeah. As a parent, you have a place there. Like a lot of our parents will go, oh, well, this is who they are. This is what they want to be. And you have to be on your game in this. Like you are the parent and this is your opportunity. And when you kind of talked you explained that, like if you as a parent don't understand that God's purpose is out there waiting to be owned by you, you will allow your kids to go to places that they don't need to go to.
No.
And so when you see parents advocating for these crazy sort of trends or fads, they themselves do not understand purpose, God's purpose. And so please be aware of that, you as a parent. And if you're struggling, like, well, I'm still looking for who I am, you get some help. Get some help because we are all designed for something much greater than just self.
Because it's really the blind leading the blind is what's happening, is that the faithlessness that was going on in our homes is what's creating this another generation of faithlessness
Yep.
and hopelessness. And so I'm just saying there's something bigger out there, something better
Absolutely.
out there.
Yep.
And we want that for you, and we want that for your family. So please come alongside us, share this show, come alongside in this mission of strong and healthy families that are rooted in their identity and their purpose in Christ. And that's what's going to bring joy and peace in this new year. So we're so thankful that you tuned in today. Welcome to 2022. We're excited to get started here, and we're not looking back. We know that God has got a plan for us in the future.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of us, and Hummel Insurance Group for coming alongside of us, as well as the Maxwell Construction Group being part of our support team. So we want to thank all these guys. We want to thank you guys as we come into 2022. We want to come in strong and well. And so please listen to our shows, share our shows. Super excited about having Rachel Cruz on to help kick off our new year in a great way. So share our shows, give us 5-star ratings, and just continue these kind of conversations. Don't let these things pass by because something else will replace it that is typically of the world.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day.
Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Hummel Insurance Group for sponsoring today's show. Hummel Insurance Group now owns and operates 7 different offices located throughout the tri-state area. For over 50 years now, the Hummel Insurance Group has been assisting customers with insurance needs and questions. For all your insurance needs, contact Hummel Insurance Group at 812-537-1785. Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana.